Developed by Paper Cult, Bloodroots is a fast-paced and bloody tale of revenge set in the Old West. Every level feels like a shot of adrenaline as you race ahead using anything you can find as a weapon. It's a simple game to understand with only a few buttons, but the challenge it presents definitely requires determination. The story is a straightforward tale of revenge. You play as Mr. Wolf, a rugged mountain man who was shot and left for dead in the wilderness by a group known as the Blood Beasts. After being presumed dead for some time, Mr. Wolf suddenly awakens and sets off to get retribution. Though the game's main focus is action, it gives a respectable amount of time to the story, using flashbacks to explore the relationships between Mr. Wolf and the Blood Beasts, without ever feeling overly intrusive. Bloodroots follows a pretty direct premise: eliminate all the enemies and move on to the next area. But similar to games like Hotline Miami and Katana Zero, death is dealt in a single blow, and if you die, you need to restart the encounter. Since death comes so quickly, you're likely to repeat some sections over and over, but most encounters are fairly short, so it rarely feels like a hassle. If you find that you're having too much trouble at parts or just want to move on, there are assist options you can activate, like invincibility or the ability to instantly clear an area, but using these will disable leaderboards for the current level. In order to carry out his revenge, Mr. Wolf uses anything he can as a weapon, including traditional options like axes, swords, and guns, as well as more unusual ones like ladders, carrots, or even fish. There are a lot of fun and creative weapons to play around with, and many have their own unique attacks like giant matches that leave behind a trail of fire, or barrels you can ride on to run over foes. Each weapon has a limited number of charges, and many can only be used once, so you need to constantly switch them out and pick up new ones. This works well with the game's frantic nature and never feels like an issue, since there's almost always something new within arm's reach. Even though Bloodroots can be very chaotic, it usually does a good job of making things feel manageable. However, there are instances when the camera zooms out way further than necessary, making it hard to keep track of everything going on. There are a decent number of enemies to tackle, like Gatling gun-wielding maniacs and giants with huge hammers, but for the most part, you battle the same few enemy types throughout the majority of the campaign. While they're all enjoyable to fight, it would have been nice to have a little more variety, especially in the earlier parts of the game. There are also a few entertaining boss battles sprinkled throughout, each vastly different from the others. It's just a shame that there aren't more of them. Outside of combat, there are a few platforming-focused sections that help break up the pace. These range from standard jumping challenges to using cannons to launch you high in the air. There's even a section inspired by Flappy Bird where you use fireworks to get through a narrow cave. These diversions are great, but feel a little too infrequent. Taking place in the Old West, many of the environments are what you'd expect, including deserts, forests, and snowy mountains. But they often have a few touches to help them stand out, like neon signs or a toxic waste dump. When you're not out hunting your prey, you have access to Mr. Wolf's camp. There are a few things you can do here, like replaying old levels to improve your scores, but the most interesting feature is your hat rack. By completing challenges, you can unlock new hats that have unique properties, like a bear hat that causes enemies you punch to explode, and a fish hat that reverses the controls. These can only be used in completed levels, so they won't help you get through the story, but they do add some replay value, which is always welcome. One of the biggest standouts in Bloodroots is its presentation. The bright and colorful art style lends itself surprisingly well to the game's over-the-top carnage, and its Western-inspired electronic tracks do an excellent job of capturing the mood of each locale. If you're looking for a quick and bloody challenge, Bloodroots is a great pick. Running through levels and cutting down foes always feels satisfying, and its wide array of weapons is a pleasure to use. Bloodroots is a fast and frantic rush of violence. Easy Allies reviews are made possible by generous viewers just like you. If you like what you see, check out patreon.com/easyallies to help us make more. For just $1 a month, you can gain access to weekly updates, spoiler discussions, and exclusive shows.